Okay, let me make sure everything is in. Oops. Okay, let me check Mary to make sure we are on. Oh, actually, I just saw we are live on Facebook. Okay, anyway, so let's get the meeting started. Okay, so welcome everybody today to this fireside chat organized by Introvert Network Asia. My name is Ray. I'm the host or moderator for today's session. Okay, so today we have three startup founder with us, and let us firstly, okay, before we introduce them, a lot of us who join us today, you're curious about what's Introvert Network all about. So we're going to do a quick sharing on what's INA all about first. Okay. So for Introvert Network Asia, we have been around since 2013. Okay, and we started from Singapore, and our founder is Mervyn Yo. And currently, we have presence in Malaysia, Indonesia, and Philippines. We are starting Taiwan soon, though. All in all, we have thousands of our members across the region, and we hope to strive a positive and nurturing environment because we believe that a lot of people have negative connotation on introverts, but we see that introverts can perform confidently in social interaction settings. Okay, and we hope to bring introvert from online to offline. So this is the platform we are creating to redefine introversion. Okay. So this is our core team over here. Mervyn on the extreme right is our founder, as mentioned, and the rest we are supporting him in multiple areas, like including for admin and finance, the technology part, the website, okay, event planning and all. Our fourth signature program will be coffee and conversation, which is just normal social networking. The second one will be inspiration and interaction. The one with normally, because we want to uplift introverts, we normally have very great speaker who has a very inspiring story to share with us. And of course, we end off with a typical interaction. Third one will be introvert business mixer, and which will focus this program mainly for business owner. Okay, and later on, end of today's session, we will let you know more about how we are bringing this introvert business mixer forward. And lastly, for roundtable recruits, that one is a very niche 10-person in a session program where we go more in-depth, okay, discussion, discovery on how introversion helps a person or how we can harness introversion better in life. So basically, this is what INA does, okay, monthly. Every month we are doing this. Okay, and today for Fireside Chat, as mentioned, we invited these three founders and we really want to understand more about them and how them as an introvert have managed whatever is surrounding them to be so successful today. So without further ado, let us, give me a while. Without further ado, let me introduce welcome the three of them into today's session. Okay, the first one, I have Benedict. Benedict, can you wave to the audience? Okay, so Benedict, he is from Addpetizer, a creative-driven tech marketing and branding agency that brings together cross-disciplinary solution with your audience and drive maximum returns on investment. So that is Benedict. Benedict, wave to us again. Okay, great. And our second speaker, we have Paul. Paul is from Flipidea, and they offer analytical information about business failure and they help validate ideas on viability of businesses. Okay, so that's Paul from Flipidea. Paul, can you wave to us? Yes, great. And of course, our last speaker for today, we have Wilson from REASSEMBLE. So yes, Wilson, UX design consultancy that design products and services that revolve around real people with real needs. Okay, so Wilson, can you wave to us again? Great. That's Wilson. Okay, so without further ado, let's get the ball rolling. Okay, so the first, we just want to ask, okay, the various founder, could you give us an overview of what your individual company do? Okay, and a little bit on yourself. Let's start with Addpetizer. Yeah, Benedict. Yeah, can unmute yourself.
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Ben, founder of Addpetizer. Really honored to be here today. Thanks for this invitation. Maybe I can just share a bit more about Addpetizer. We are a full stack digital agency. So we have worked with brands like Google, Lendlease, Darwin Interior, Seoul Garden Group, Four Seasons. Yeah. So we offer the full range of services from web development all the way to digital marketing, content creation across Facebook, Instagram, Google, all the relevant digital platforms. Yeah. So the question that might be on your mind right now is what really makes us special, because there are so many agencies out there. I boil it down to one word, which is performance. So we attribute and track all of our clients' business KPIs, and we consistently exceed our provided targets. And more than that, we don't just see ourselves as an agency, execution arm. We see ourselves as a business partner, a strategist, an engineer. So we work with our companies to actually build marketing engines that can optimize over time. We will automate everything all the way from running of campaigns to nurturing your customers to actually building brand loyalty. And just a fun fact, so right now I actually triple head. So I'm also a professional trainer in digital marketing, and I'm currently also heading the digital team at Yellow Pages Singapore as well. Yeah, so that's me.
Wow, so there's so many things you're doing. Of course, we will can't wait to hear more from you later, Benedict. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah,
So
thanks,
next,
Ray.
yes, we have Paul from Flipidea. Can you share a little bit on an overview of what does your company does? Paul, please. Yeah, sorry, Paul, you need to unmute yourself. Don't mind. Thank you.
Okay. And you.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Hi, I'm Paul from Flipidea. So as Ray had briefly introduced, we, in a nutshell, we study business failures. So basically, we collect information about companies that have shut down from the web, and then we compile the information together. We put together on our site, and then we do if there's no postmortem done on them, we will do a postmortem. Otherwise, we will just in a way summarize the postmortem and organize them nicely for our audience to read lah. And the reason for doing so is that the failure rate of businesses around the world, it's quite high. I think it's the statistics. It's about conservatively about 7 out of 10 companies were shut down annually for new and as a very small company lah. So in order to encourage aspiring and budding entrepreneurs to learn from others' mistakes or others' hindsights, we put up this platform for that purpose, for that reason, to reduce costly mistakes. And also Ray touched on that, our idea validation tool. We also built an idea validation tool to help aspiring entrepreneurs to validate their initial hunch ideas, to check if the ideas are unique or not, and if someone else has done it or not. If someone else have and they failed, what can we learn from their failures? So in a nutshell, that's what we do. Thank you.
Wow, great, Paul. Thanks for sharing. And next, can we have Wilson? Yes, for REASSEMBLE. Wilson, please. Thank you.
Right. Hi. Right. So, hello everyone. I'm Wilson from REASSEMBLE, and I'm actually a specialist user experience designer, or UX designer for short. So what I do and what my company does is, well, I would say that we wear about 2 to 3 hats as well, right? So of course, on one hand, okay, we are involved in the design of the product, right? So by product, I mean, it could be something like an app or website. And when we look at it, we ask ourselves what we think are some very important questions, which are when people are trying to use your app or use your website, what makes it difficult for them? What makes it easier for them, right? What supports them? What gets in their way, right? What makes them feel happy, right? So the what we do is we then carry out the process of user research, right? We look into the users, right, and how they feel and think about things in order to get insights. And we use these insights in order to make actual design decisions, which is why, in the introduction that Ray said, we like to think of ourselves as we design based on reality. We don't guess up. We don't just guess what people like, right? We try to find out. So that's one hat, right? And I guess the other hat that I'm also wearing now is I'm also actually a trainer, right? So there are also a lot of UX agencies outside right now, and a lot of them do pretty good design. But I think what differentiates Reassemble from other companies is that we are also focused on building the capacity of the people who work with us, because we are aware that design is never a one-time thing. It's not just, we build a website, then we're done, right? Users will evolve, technology evolves, right? And when people need new things, or when you need a new feature, right, sometimes it's good to have that capacity even within your own company. And that's what we do in terms of having training programs as well as workshops that help companies to sharpen their ideas, to better learn about the people who they're trying to serve, right? And then what they can do about that. So yeah, that's pretty much what we do in a nutshell.
Wow, that's really if you hear so far for all three of them, whatever they do, okay, it could be you seems that very straightforward, okay, but when you hear more about them, then you realize, wow, there's so many things they are bringing onto the table. So more importantly, now you want to also ask them, so there's so many things on the plate, I guess, what makes them want to jump into this in the first place? What makes them want to jump into this? Because as a founder, we know that there's so many things they need to consider, okay? So we like to hear their story on especially why they even want to set up this company, okay? So maybe you go back to Benedict first. Yeah, Benedict, yes.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So I think it's a really great question. I think you said rightly lah. So startup life really can be quite tough. A lot of challenges you face is always uphill battle. Yeah. I guess for me the two key motivations would be, I think one is more logical. The other one more emotional lah. Yeah. So I starting with logical first though. So I started my career at Economic Development Board of Singapore. Yeah, so during my time there, I led the global digital efforts. So I ran all the multiple language websites in market, and I also made sure there was a strong digital presence in all our priority markets. We ran a lot of digital, performance-driven digital marketing campaigns for lead generation as well. Yeah, so it was during then that I discovered my passion for digital marketing and also how powerful digital marketing can be. Yeah, so it's really very powerful. It can remove the ceilings for growth for most companies, and it also can break the restrictions that small businesses traditionally had. Yeah. So I was having a conversation with my brother lah. So I was telling him about what I was executing, and he got quite excited. He said a lot of SMEs in Singapore, they are still quite traditional. So there was a lot of room and to improve, and that was when I realized there was a gap that I could fill. Yeah, so that was the more rational aspect of why I decided to leave my job and start a digital agency. Yeah, as for my personal emotional motivation,
Yes.
I think for me it's more to take control of my life. Yeah, so I vividly remember there was one day that I just decided it's time. Yeah, because I had an aunt. She was like a second mom to me. Yeah, so back then she was suffering from cancer. But during that time as well, I was also leading a very large project at EDB. It was more of an administrative paperwork project. Yeah. So I used to visit her regularly on the evenings after work. But one day I had to rush something out. So I decided that, hi, I'm just going to work late. I'm visit her tomorrow. Yeah. But that night she passed away. Yeah. So it was during that time I really felt damn horrible. I was wondering like why I felt so horrible, because I think everyone makes this kind of decisions and trade-offs. Yeah. But I felt a very huge sense of emptiness. Then I realized that it's because I missed her last night on earth for something that I did not believe. Wasn't passionate about it. That's why I felt so bad. Yeah, so I just wanted to, like, if I could redo everything, I just go back. And if I had to miss her last day, I want to be able to excitedly tell her in the afterlife, like, hey, I was working on this really exciting project. I'm so sorry I missed it. Yeah. So I made a promise to myself then that I only want to spend time on things that I'm passionate about, I believe in. Yeah, so these were the two reasons. I identified the gap, so I decided digital marketing for smaller businesses in Singapore. And I also wanted to take control of my life and manage the things that I was doing. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you, Benedict, for the truthful feeling. Especially, he highlight a very important point. Whatever things that we do, the emotional state where we are in. Okay, so it's not about the why logic, but it's about the heart logic, the heart why you are doing certain. Yes, yes. So Paul, yes, we'd like to pass the stage to you. Yeah, I want to hear your journey. Wow, what makes you want to be a founder of a startup?
Yes. Why want to be a founder of a startup? Primarily to solve problem. And so this is my actually 8th venture. I've done the previous 5 where, due to inexperience and maybe wrong market and wrong timing and stuff, uh, felt quite badly. And then, although I've got some quite a fair bit of, I would say the last 3 was also quite successful. So that was the reason why I wanted to basically to learn how to solve problem more effectively lah. And then why I started Flipidea, because as I mentioned earlier, out of 8 I felt 5, and throughout my last one, which was one of the most painful and costliest one, that got me thinking, okay, what can I learn from this, and then how can I make sure that I don't repeat some of these mistakes. And then as I was preparing my thoughts and also do my research on specifically look at what to do next, then a memory of an event recurred in my mind, and that was an event that I attended in Munich where I heard the ResearchGate's founder shared how he started ResearchGate. Initially, he started a platform due to the fact that he couldn't get researchers and academics to share the results of their field experiments. And at that time, I thought, wow, I mean, it's something so simple yet so beneficial and powerful. And I wondered to myself, if anyone was doing it in the business world. So at that time, the pain and my experience, my failure experience, triggered this memory. And then when I put the two together and then did some pre-market validation and survey and talk to potential customers and whatnot, and learned that there's actually a need for this. So that's why I did what I did, started this.
Wow, so I believe there's definitely a lot of reflection before he decided to do this consolidating of all the various failure that previously he has done and make the best break out of it. Great job, Paul. So next one will be Wilson. Just want to hear a little bit same thing on your journey.
Right, can you hear me? I think I'm muted now.
Yes, I'm muted. Yes, please go ahead,
Okay.
Wilson.
So, well, in terms of my startup journey, I guess I could divide it into 2 components. So one is why we decided I wanted to work as a startup itself, right? Instead of maybe going into another company to work as a UX designer. And then the second larger question is why UX, right? So I think why UX actually came from my previous experience. I actually used to be a marketeer as well for about 3 to 4 years. And I think I was working at the time in a charity. So, I felt I was doing good, right? I mean, we're benefiting a section of society that needed our help, right? But I think what really frustrated me while I was working in the charity, right, wasn't the people, it was the fact that the infrastructure that we had for allowing people to donate to us was just so difficult, right? It just made things so difficult. And we estimated that at any time, I worked there for a couple of years, and we estimated that at any time, it was costing us maybe about 15 to 20% of our donations, right? And these are people who want to do good things. I mean, they want to help other people. That's why they bother to come to us. And, you know, we make it so difficult for them that they give up, right? And I feel that, you know, and so, you know, at that point I was like, is there something I can do besides, you know, marketing and outreach, right? That would help make businesses as well as other organizations more successful, right? And that's how, you know, from about 2016 onwards, I started getting acquainted with UX. And I think that really sparked a chord in me in the sense that it lit a spark in me in the sense that it was another way of thinking about how we deal with the people that we are trying to serve, right? How when we try to provide value to other people, we don't just give them, it's not just about the value, it's also about the ease of accessing that value, right? And I felt that really resonated with me, right? And I think part of why, so another part of why so that I guess that goes into, you know, why we decided to start a company. So I actually have two other co-founders, and I think a large part of what we wanted to do was that we understood that being a consultant from the outside sometimes allows us as UX designers and consultants to raise points that may not be so visible to people on the inside, right? I think it's a very common problem when you are absorbed in a project, right? It's a bit hard to take a step back and be like, what's wrong with this project? You know, and whereas we felt that as someone independent and someone on the outside, it was a bit easier for us to say, you know, this is what we need to find out. This is what we need to not assume, right? We are free from the assumptions of other people, right? And that really allows us to develop, to deliver value better, because, you know, in a lot of the clients we see, even today, right? A lot of what happens is that when a project has been stuck for 6 months or a year, everyone has kind of narrowed their view down to like this one thing that we must do. And it kind of takes someone from the outside to be like, are you sure that's the thing you want to do? Like, is that really the thing that was most important? And then you start to break loose from that viewpoint a bit. So I think that's how we're like, we would likely be more valuable from the outside than joining a company. And that's why, you know, we decided to start a company that does UX.
Wow, thank you, Wilson, for sharing. The three of them really mentioned the importance, okay, to focus on your core business. But sometimes being focused, but asking difficult questions for yourself is also a challenge, because you only think of what you want to do, okay? So they are really there to help us cover the blind spot in our business. So this is what so far I hear from the three of them is a great job that they are doing. So for the audience today, if you have any question, I'm gonna ask them one more question to the three panelists. But later on, after the question, you got anything about what you're gonna ask them, and let us know via the group chat function. Or for those that's watching us live on Facebook, you can also post your question in the comments box, right? So for the three speakers again for today, I'd like to since this session is organized by Introvert Network Asia, and of course we have QC, you three are introverts before you come on board. So the three of you all like to ask that, being an introvert, okay, how does it help you in your business? Of course, other than helping you, also what are the challenges that you have faced as an introvert in the business? Okay, so one example of how it helped you and one example of a challenge as an introvert. So let's go back to Benedict.
Yeah, hi. So I think for most introverts it'll be the same. Like introverts, I don't know why, I'm a bit naturally better at listening. Yeah, so we might not be the first to speak, but I think in a lot of the fields that we're doing, like it really allows us to listen a bit better. Like I think for Paul, you're listening out for fearless, like the lessons that people are learning. Like for Wilson, you're also listening out from like what the users actually need, what the businesses actually need. I really feel that is my biggest strength, to be honest, like the ability to listen. Everything I do stems from what I listen and understand, and then from there pitch, like a solution for. So on one specific example was, I would say my first big project for Addpetizer. So it was a mall account. I was the smallest agency. Like by far, I was like at least 10 times smaller than the next smallest agency. I went in to pitch, and I only had a 2-man team. Yeah. So when we were listening to the brief, I actually noted down a lot of points, like what are the big considerations. Then I tried to, instead of coming out with a solution, I tried to focus on what the problem was, what they are actually frustrated about, what the team is actually struggling with. Then I came up with a solution. So I keep drawing reference to what they mentioned during the brief. Yeah, and I said, from this, then I get it that, okay, so this must be the underlying problem that you're facing on a regular basis. Yeah, so they actually attributed that to the reason why I won the account. It was like a lot of agencies, they just want to pitch solution. Yeah, but a lot of times you need to actually listen first, understand where the problem is, really nail it down before you come out with anything. Yeah, so that was a case where I realized that actually being an introvert really helps sometimes. Yeah. In terms of challenges I would face as an introvert, I guess a lot of times, right, we are not really very, I would say that we don't really want to keep presenting, speaking, networking, and entertaining. Yeah, but unfortunately, if you want to have sales, you want to have business, you need to sort of put yourself out there. Yeah. So I still remember when I first started up, then my friend brought me to meet his cousin. His cousin owned a pub at Siglat, Frankel, that area. Yeah. So he was looking for digital marketing. Then after like 1 hour, 2 hours, and a couple of drinks, right? Then his cousin just came up to me for no reason and said that I don't think you ever make it because you're too quiet. Like you're not suited for this industry. Yeah. So I mean that was really out of nowhere. But then after a while, I realized that like I need to play to my own strength. Like maybe going out drinking, trying to close customers is really not my way of doing things. I prefer more deliberate meetings, more controlled small group networking events. Yeah. So from there, then I realized that maybe these are the kind of events I should do. Even if there are opportunities for, like, let's say a huge networking event with a lot of drinks involved, I might not go because I'm that's not my place to shine. Yeah. So I realized that we need to find our own style, pace, and rhythm. Yeah, because I don't know whether it's really an extrovert related like led world, but there are a lot of expectations that boss salespeople founders need to be extroverted. Yeah, and they expect that from you. Yeah, so we need to find our own pace and rhythm, right? So that we are more comfortable being ourselves. Then from there, we're a lot more confident speaking. We're a lot more confident actually engaging with people. Yeah, so that would be, I guess, the challenge that I face, and my solution to that was really to find a place within the areas you're uncomfortable that you can shine. Yeah.
Thank you, Benedict, for sharing. Yeah, so this is something that over Introvert Network we really do believe in. Introvert, we sure have our positioning, and one unique thing that you mentioned is very true is our ability to able to listen, okay, and have more in-depth conversation. Thank you, Benedict, for sharing. Yes,
Thank you.
Paul, yes, we'd like to hear yes, one example how it helps you in your business as an introvert and one challenge.
Yes. So, as Benedict mentioned, I mean, we probably are more tuned to better listening. So for me, I don't know whether it comes with the introversion or my naturally since young I was very observant. So sometimes also in a big crowd, you tend to listen more maybe to those who never had really have a chance to speak out, and then you tend to be also more observant. You know how to pick out who are the ones that you can build a better relationship to. I guess it's the same when you're trying to do business, to collaborate with some people, as well as listening to your customers as well, like your potential customers or your partners, really listening to the issue. Sometimes among all the noise or in a negotiation process, right? All this will train us to be able to pinpoint what's important, I think. So yeah, the challenges would be, of course, I think Benedict also touch on, which is among the extroverts or among bigger crowds, or sometimes when you meet the alpha males or alpha females, and then how do you then make your voice heard among those group of people? So sometimes until today, I still find it a challenge, because I mean, I'm sure most of us have also grown up a bit, and then you know, how do you then get attention in the delicate manner, right? So sometimes it's still that, and then if people want attention seeker or grabber, again, you know, how to do it delicately, and at the same time still respecting them, because it's not their fault sometimes too, you know, it's their nature, right? So how do you how to navigate among that? So yeah. And then another thing, it's I'm sure all of us do get tired dealing with people, and especially I think Benedict and Wilson, you know, as team leaders, Monday to Friday or sometimes even Saturday, you know, you have to deal with your team members. So I think introvert leaders do get drained out. So Sunday usually it's my me time, me and my wife time, you know, my family time. What we like to do is, you know, just go into because Brunei, we're full of trees, right? So we'll go for a walk in the jungle, we'll go hike and recharge and not meet people. So I think that's one of the challenge I think we will face, of course. But sometimes, you know, just it depends on the intensity of the social interaction. Sometimes during weekdays, you know, if you talk too much or have a long meeting or with partners, then you know just get drained out by the late afternoon already. You know, then how can you push through for the rest of the night again? You know, if you need to work through the night, lah. So it's still something that I'm still trying to learn how to cope with. But yeah, thank you.
No problem. Stay more in tune with Introvert Network Asia. We will share more tips. Okay. So for Wilson, yes, how do you overcome it? Okay, and is there any way as an introvert it helps you in your business?
Right. Yeah. So I mean, very good answers from both Benedict and Paul, and I think some. So I guess from my side, my perspective is that I think one strength that introverts have that is both a strength and a weakness, right? A bit of a double-edged sword, is the fact that in my observation, introverted people tend to be a little bit more reflective. All right. I think it makes sense because, you know, when you're not talking and sitting to one side, what you do, you think, right? So you just sit there and think, right? And that can be an issue. So I think when I first started off with REASSEMBLE, one of the biggest struggles I had really was precisely the same kind of problem that like Benedict and Paul were talking about. So networking exhausts me, right? And then when networking exhausts me, I will sit down and think like, I'm not doing enough. You know, I'm not doing well enough. I'm not getting to know everybody. You know, I'm not doing well. And I think that's a danger that introverts are a little bit more at risk of, because it's a bit easier for us to sit down and reflect and get a bit too self-critical, you know, about, you know, oh, I didn't do this one right, I didn't do that one right, oh no, you know, things are not going well. So I think that's something that I had to learn to really keep a watch of and be like, you know, it's good to try to think of what I can do better, right? But it's not helpful to keep beating yourself up over, you know, something like a meeting that made you very tired, or a meeting where you don't think you were speaking out too much, right? So that's one thing. But I think reflection is also, in many cases, a great strength, right? And I think that's the thing is, I guess introverts, because we prefer more of the sitting a little bit to one side and thinking through problems in a little bit more depth. And I think that brings out a lot of solutions and a lot of good decisions that sometimes can get missed. So one example we had once was I was working with a healthcare app, and the healthcare app was actually targeted at relatively low access to medical resources, right? Limited access groups in the Philippines. So we're talking about, you know, rural areas. We're talking about people who have a lot of them have cell phones, have handphones, but they don't really have other, you know, resources to get online, right? And the team was all very extroverted. They're all the very, very enthusiastic startup kind. And the very first thing they said was, okay, of course people need to sign up. That's the first thing they need to do. And when they sign up, all right, we will make them sign up using their email. So okay, it sounds fine in the first time you say it, but when you think about it, you're like, hang on, we're dealing with guys in a village in Philippines who mainly access the internet using their phone. Why are we using email as our main identifier? A lot of these guys won't have emails, right? So I think that's an advantage that being an introvert has sometimes. That when we are a little bit more inclined to reflect on these things, it's a bit easier to go deeper, right? It's a bit easier to draw links that are not that obvious, right? And then I guess one thing about the communications issue that I think both Benedict and Paul were talking about is it's of course always a problem, because introverts naturally get a little bit more tired by speaking to people, right? And I think one way we managed to get around that was we found a topic that we were really passionate to talk about. Right? So for example, Reassemble, we actually run this series of events called UX and Bagels. So we actually buy the bagels and people come and then we have a UX talk, right? And the thing is public speaking. I have to talk to like 20 people and it really tires me out every time I do it. But I think it's still fine because it's something that it's sharing something that I'm passionate about, right? And I think, once you find your passion, you find something that you're not that tired of talking about all the time, it becomes a lot easier to be more social about it. Yeah, so I think that's something to take note of.
Wow, thank you, Wilson, for sharing. Something I learned from the Introvert Network Asia founder, Mervyn, is how do we recharge ourselves as an introvert? We really need to understand. So for myself, how I discover would be, I love watching movie alone. Okay, I don't like the part where go to movie, someone just talking beside me. No. So watching movie alone helps me, and especially watching motivational movies. So don't go and watch when you're so upset or one full day of program, and yet you go and watch a movie that is very upsetting. Wow, and then that makes your life even more sucks, right? So this is something that we need to, as an introvert, to identify how we recharge ourselves positively, so that immediately after that we can go again for another meetings and to be on equal par, where people think that introvert is not as good as extrovert. Is not true. Okay, so yes, I'd like to throw now give the floor this whole session to the audience today. If you got any question, anyone got any question for them, anyone in particular? Let me see the list of question. Actually, just now I saw a tick from Kok Wai. Kok Wai, is there any question? Oh, wait, before Kok Wai, sorry, I saw Miji. Yes, Miji, you can actually on your video and audio. Yes, you can just post your question. No problem. Yes, hi.
Hello to all the introverted startups, entrepreneurs. I have a question because I already have a business idea, but I need help on how I could execute it. And then how do I find the right market? Because right now I already have an idea, but I'm not sure where to get resources, where to get my partners, where to get my market. So I think I would need help in that aspect. And to further cement to further find and discover or confirm if this is the right passion for me. Thank you.
Okay, so Miji, I hear you, right? But maybe is there any maybe a little bit more in depth? For example, any particular thoughts or idea you can, so that you can formalize it for you. Since now you got 3 great panelists specialized in their field, straight away maybe they can give you some good tips. Okay, so maybe anyone, Miji, yes, any particular thoughts or idea that you have in terms of business?
Yes. It's I'm currently a corporate trainer, so I'm currently intending to do like a facilitating, a side gig where I would facilitate like to a specific market, and then there's also a voiceover, a prospect that I have, and then also writing articles, or in fact writing a book. I'd like to address this question to all the speakers that we have right now, and I would like to get your thoughts on the matter. Yes.
Okay, so to make sure it's right, so you're saying that there's a few ideas in place, like even like writing a book, or even running a training consultancy firm kind of yes space, or yes. So I'd like to have some quick advice from the speaker. Yes, the speaker, anyone, once you're ready, yes, you can just unmute yourself and just do a quick response to Migi. Let me see. Anyone ready? Benedict, yes.
Yeah, I think great question, Migi. So, I think when all of us we want to start up, then we probably have a lot of ideas that we want to try out. I think as introverts, then I think like just now Wilson mentioned, we like to think a lot, and sometimes we get paralyzed by our own thinking. We keep reflecting what we want to do. It's quite common. I would say you should start by, I think there are two parts of the question, right? So one is whether it's suitable for you, whether you're going to be passionate about it. And then there's another question which would be then whether it's viable as a business concept. Yeah, so for that first part, I would say that probably you should try and explore everything in smaller capacities. Yeah, so start by writing articles. Don't need to write book. Write an article, see how you can scale it up, see how people respond, see whether you enjoy the process. Start by maybe doing some smaller group facilitations, see whether it's something that you are comfortable with. After the session, do you feel more energized or do you feel like drained? Yeah, so I would say start by exploring all of them a bit first, so you know whether it's suitable for you. Because if you want to dive right into a startup, it's quite dangerous in that sense that if you don't like it, right, you end up committing a large portion. There are only these hours in a day, and you commit that amount of hours in a day to an idea that you might not be passionate about. Yeah, I think for the business viability, it's very important to then when you're trying out also, you need to suss out the demand. I guess like this is when expertise from Wilson will be very, very good, because you need to understand, firstly, for all businesses, you need to understand who your target audience is first. Always start with your target audience, and then what frustrations they have, and ideate from there. Don't start by going in with a solution and then you try and find an audience from there. Yeah, so I would say that business availability, first thing you need to do is identify a target audience, really nail down that frustration. Marketing, right, can't fix a bad product or bad solution. Yeah, so at the core, you always need to make sure that the product itself, the solution, addresses a real market problem. I think just now that's exactly what Paul said as well. Yeah, it needs to be addressing a real problem, a good solution for a real problem, very clearly defined target audience. Yeah, I would say that's the most important start for a startup once you have nailed down on what you want to zoom into. Yeah.
Okay, so Migi, hopefully that helped to answer your question.
All right.
Okay,
Yes.
and thank you. So now I have a special request for Hui Ying. Hui Ying, are you there? You got some question for the panelists? You can, yes, unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi. Hi. Thanks,
Yes,
thanks
hi Hui Ying.
for sharing your like your startup journey. I thought it was really interesting. Sorry, I can't share my video because I think it's
It's okay, no problem. Your question?
yeah, okay, so the question I have is I guess it's kind of related, it's a bit related to the in some ways to your journey. Initially, when you first start out, how do you met like milestones you want to achieve and to make sure that you are progressing? I guess like personally, I want to start my own company and I moved back to Singapore, but like I feel that I am like falling away from like structure, and sometimes I just feel like I didn't really get much done, and I don't really know whether I'm wasting my time or am I progressing. So that's my first question, and then I have a second question also, which is about self-awareness. I think I see the three of you are quite self-aware. So I'm an extrovert myself. And so I'm not really that like self-aware. So I want to kind of learn a bit more about like how you build awareness so that you can build a team around you that helps you, you know, function better as a founder.
Okay, so Ken, I realize your question, maybe just now I saw Paul, how would like to address Hui Ying?
Yes, hi, Hui Ying. Yes, thank you for your questions. Right, so I think as Benedict have shared earlier, primarily if you want to do a startup or a business, I mean, the key thing is, a surer way would be first to identify a problem that we want to solve, but the market that you're looking at must also be viable, which Benedict did touch on the word viable. So and one way of in a way, not to say ensure, but one way of doing it is to find a problem that is actually big enough, that the pain point is actually there and suffered by a large portion of market, so that then it makes it viable. You know, even if you are trying to serve, let's say 10 million people, where each of them give you $5, you know, you can do the math, right? But if you find a problem that a market where, let's say, the size is merely 100,000, then, you know, even if you can get out, let's say, you know, 500 or 100, but, you know, how much more can you scale from that, right? So yeah, I think that's one. And then you mentioned something about keeping track of milestone. Actually, also to answer Miggy's earlier question, I'd like to introduce everyone this book called the Sprint book. Sprint as in like sprinting. I'm sure Wilson and Benedict, you know, I see them nodding their head. In the tech world, it's one of the, we use this very widely. So the Sprint book teach you how to validate your market very simply and very quickly in 5 days time. It's created by the guys from Google Ventures. So it's tried and tested. They do use this, and they'll teach you how to identify your problem, how to build a facade, prototype or MVP, and then you test it out. Customer validation means that you get a group of people, which is your customer segment, and then you do interview, sit down with them, listen to their feedback, then you repeat the cycle again to improve your thing. And so I think that book will obviously, you know, I'm sure if you do that, you will also be naturally learn how to draw your milestone, because they do teach you how to do your roadmap and everything. So it's pretty there, and I'm sure the web will also have that. And then the second question about self-awareness, how do we then build our own self-awareness to build a team? I think whether you're an extrovert or an introvert, I think ultimately to build a business, the core, like Benedict and Wilson have mentioned earlier, it's identifying a real problem to solve. But I will add a viable problem to solve. And then if it's viable, and if what you're doing is interesting enough, and your vision is something that's meaningful and impactful, and if you're real, you know, in addressing that, obviously, you know, you will have no problem to encourage someone to work with you in solving this problem. So yeah. Hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Hui Ying.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, so actually from the floor, we have a question for Wilson. So Wilson has this question saying that UX is only for big company, not so much for small companies, right? So this is the question I have for you.
That's an interesting question. And well, so it is true that big companies do have big UX teams. I think that's a very encouraging trend that's been happening in Singapore in recent years, where you're getting people hiring a lot. Though sometimes I wonder if sometimes I wonder if quality matches up to quantity, but that's another question. Right? I think, but I would say that In much to the contrary, I would say that actually smaller companies need UX even more than big companies do. All right. One reason why, okay, let's say you start a bank today. Your bank is, you're newly licensed by MAS, but you have no brand awareness. Nobody knows who you are, okay? And you create an app, and the app is not very good, okay? There's literally no reason to use you, right? Whereas if you're DBS, right? I mean, DBS makes pretty good apps, right? So if you're DBS, everyone knows you. Even if your app is a bit clunky, the fact of your size and your trustworthiness and your brand awareness is such that it kind of makes up a little bit for an experience that may be subpar. Okay, so I would say that for startups and smaller companies, right, actually the reverse is true. All the more you have to give people a good experience, right? I think so. I think this is partly Paul's expertise as well, right? You know, when you're examining business failures, a lot of what you're looking at is the value proposition has failed. You know, we didn't offer enough value to people. That's why nobody came to buy our stuff. But I think part of that value proposition also comes in the experience that people get from you as well. You know, even if you offer an enormous value proposition, but you make it really hard for people, that loses you a lot of your users and customers. So that's the thing for startups, right? In fact, because your margin of error is even smaller, your UX needs to be even better. And here's the challenge. You also have fewer resources with which to do it because you're not DBS, right? DBS has a UX team of about 200 people last I checked. So, I mean, you know, 200 people can do so many things, right? You only have like 3 guys. So what are you going to do, right? And I think partly what Paul talked about, right? The sprint book, that is definitely a very good starting reference. Right? Another book I can refer you to, which is more about usability, right? The usability of a product is a book by Steve Krug, Krug, right? Called "Don't Make Me Think." All right, and I mean, it's exactly what the title says, right? How do you design websites and apps and other products that people don't have to sit there thinking for a long time before they figure out how you're supposed to use it, right? So when you make apps that people don't have to think so much about, then people will use you more often because they don't have to spend so much effort on it, right? So yeah, so that's what I would have to say to that. It's actually even more important to make use of techniques that can be done for a little bit cheaper, all right, in order to get insights that help you achieve that experience. And in terms of startups do have one advantage. You are a lot more flexible, all right? Why did I say sometimes a 200-person team doesn't cut it? And I think Benedict would know because EDB is a bit like that as well. 200 people in the team means there's about 20 layers of approval. You know, your boss, your boss's boss, your boss's boss, etc. Right? By the time the approval goes up and comes down, things have changed, right? With startups, you are a little bit more flexible, and that is your strength, which is that once I figure out that, oh, people actually like this, I can just do a quick A/B test. It takes me 2 to 3 weeks to figure out something, right, and adapt to what people want, right? And that is really the advantage that you have. So I would say, you know, focus on having that advantage, and you know, focus on having like low resource means of capitalizing on this advantage to deliver the good UX for startups.
Okay, thank you, Wilson, for your great response. Yes, I got a fun question for Benedict though. There's this Felicia. Felicia actually asked Benedict in particular, say, how did Benedict find your groove for your networking or promoting your business?
Okay, so I guess part of it really needs to boil down to discovery. So I think just now when I answered the question earlier, I said you need to discover what you're comfortable with also. Yeah, so what you are, where you can shine. Yeah, so when it comes to, for example, networking, for example, I realized that I preferred less but deeper conversations. I don't need to know everybody at an event, actually. I really don't. I just need to identify maybe 1 to 3 more like-minded people that I can just stand there and talk for the whole event. I'm fine. I'm okay if I don't meet the rest of the people at the event. But then I realized that I form deeper connections. My network might not be huge. Yeah, but at least I have a deep connection that I can connect with again. I did bounce ideas off even maybe a potential client or collaborator. Yeah, so you need to find out like what you're comfortable with when it comes to networking, I would say.
Great tips from Benedict. Sophia, yes, you like to on your video and audio, then you can post a question.
Hello.
Hi, Sophia.
I just have a question. Just to give you a background, I'm a designer, a graphic designer, but I'm slowly easing my way into doing just art direction and not anymore, the execution part. I want to hire graphic designers for that. And I'm personality-wise, I'm really more of a creative introvert. And so for the longest time, I've been thinking of starting a design firm. I just want to know if you think that it's wise for an introverted creative to get a partner, somebody who can do more of the extroverted work and the more structured work. And if so, what sort of partner do you think would best complement an introverted creative?
Okay, understand here. Hear you, Sophia. So mainly it will be since we understand we could be introvert, and should we get an extrovert partner to help to complement us in to do a startup business? So maybe I throw it to the floor, the three panelists. Well, do y'all, any one of y'all have an extrovert partner that is helping you in the business?
Yeah, so maybe I can just jump in. My partner is extroverted for my business. Yeah, so I mean, you don't just find an extrovert because if that's the only criteria, I can say the partnership is almost bound to fail, because there are a lot of conflicts, right, that will happen by that just because you are extrovert versus introvert. Yeah, so at the start you need to make sure that, I think there's another book which start with why. Yeah, you need to make sure that the people you bring in, right, have a perfect alignment. Don't need, okay, not perfect, but have a good alignment in terms of what problem you're trying to solve. How are you trying to impact the world? How are you, and more importantly, how are you going to go about doing it also? Yeah, not just about the vision itself. Yeah, so like for me, my partner actually she actually handled all of the like entertainment events once I brought her in. Yeah, so that actually helped a lot. But you will have to face a lot of, there will be a lot of tensions in the way that just because introvert extroverts have very different way of doing. Sometimes extroverts want to just go out there and just try out, go and experience, and then figure it out on the spot, which I'm fine with, but I need a lot of time to recharge. I cannot just do it back to back. I cannot, even when I'm out there exploring, most likely I'll be quiet. I will be trying to figure out, observe first before I can speak. So I can't enter a whole new environment and thrive. I actually take a lot of time to acclimatize. Yeah. So I guess in terms of finding a partner that's extroverted, it might work because you need to find people that cover the weaknesses that you have. That's one of the big criteria. But more importantly, you need to be aligned on on your vision and mission of your company. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sophia, for your question.
If I may add on to that,
Yes.
yeah, I think Sophia, I think Benedict have touched on. I think the key thing is to find someone who's complementary to your skills, your strengths and weaknesses. I used to have partners who are extroverts, but my current one is an introvert as well. So what happens when you're, both of you or three of you are introverts? So one of you just have to make the decision to step out when you need to, and also to encourage the other party to step out in their specialty when they need to. So yeah, I mean, I think primarily will be just, to find someone who will complement your strengths and weaknesses. It doesn't necessarily needs to be an extrovert or introvert or not. I mean, like as what Benedict said, because someone who may bring very good value to what your weaknesses, and there's a fit, right? Founders fit. Who knows? The other person might also be an introvert, just like right now my current one is. So yeah, I think focus on the strength and weaknesses that fit.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. it's 4 o'clock now. I guess so far, all of us had a wonderful session and a lot of good insight and tips from the three founders of their respective fields. So, yes. So Hui Ying had a question. Do you guys have a book on founders fit? So this one, let them take a pause. Yes, you got.
Yes. Not specifically, but I would recommend to read the book on Twitter. There's actually a book about Twitter. Actually, I don't know if anyone in this group knows that Twitter started out with, I think, about 4 or 5 of them, co-founders. Then eventually, but the person who spearheaded was Evan Williams, who started, I think, either Blogger or Blogspot. And then he wanted something short, so that was microblog that came about. That was Twitter. Then he moved on to medium.com. But along that way, everyone left. It was Evans left, and then even Evan was kicked out. And then after that, they got Jack Dorsey back. So I think that book had touched on how the founders dynamic. And then another book would be The Hard Things About Hard Things from Ben Horowitz. I think that's a wonderful book as well from his experience, about the hardship of running a business. So he's one of the successful entrepreneurs who really focus a lot on the hardship and the failures of stuff, rather than all the rosy stories. So I think that these two are my favorite that I can think of regarding Founders Fit. Hope that helps.
Okay, thank you, Paul, for sharing. Okay, so for you guys, I know there's still more questions from the floor. You can actually post it in our Introvert Network Asia Facebook page under this Facebook live stream. And I believe that either of the founder will be more than gladly to take your question in the comment under the Facebook page. So yes, continue to give us some of these questions. Okay, I'm gonna hand over this time to Melvin, who's gonna share a little bit more on this introvert business mixer, as I earlier on during the opening had said. Yes, Melvin.
Hello, hi. Yeah, I'm Melvin here. I'm actually a startup founder too. I'm one of the exco of Introvert Network Asia. So the three founders that we invited today are invited by me. So I hope they have answered your questions the way you want it. So the reason why I started this fire chat is to really to encourage introverts to really, if you're thinking of doing startup, right, just don't let your introversion be the reason why you're not doing it. There are other reasons why you shouldn't be doing a startup, like there's no product market fit. You cannot find good partners to work with, you don't have resources, or you don't have enough capital. So those are good reasons why you want to do a startup, but don't let your introversion be the reason why you say, hey, I'm an introverted person, so I cannot do a startup. So that's why I want to do this. And as what Ray said, we have this business networking that we are starting in August. Our first session is actually in 19th of August, right? But we're gonna hold a session on 12th of August. You can visit our website. We can actually type the link on the website for the event page. You can look for this 12th of August event, Let's Rock, right? So that is where we're gonna explain to you what our business networking is all about. It's called IBM, stands for Introverts Business Mixer. We want to kind of give introverts, business owners, a very comfortable environment to network. Right. I'm sure everyone have kind of attended one networking event, at least one, right? You know how is it like out there. I myself, sometimes I go to a networking session, I woke up without talking to anybody. I'm just very lost, right? As in, I don't know how to, if two or three persons are talking, I don't know how to kind of like step inside and disturb them, because I'm an introvert. I don't know, I just feel very uncomfortable, or find it very rude trying to interrupt, right? So I have been to networking events, walking out without talking to anybody. That is very true. So, but today, right, with this introvert network, I've learned how to kind of do business networking. I'm more comfortable now. So it's really a matter of practice and be comfortable with yourself. Not because you're introvert, you cannot network. Actually, we everybody in the network, they are kind of actively participating in our events. They are very good networkers, honestly. So we want to actually set up a very comfortable environment to let introvert business owners, start to practice their networking, business networking, right? To get to know more people, get more connection. And of course, we joining our network, we have other benefits that we're going to share with everyone. So do sign up on the 12th of August event, where we're going to share more details about our new business networking for introverts. It's definitely going to be a very comfortable environment for you to know more people, increase your connection and a network, gain more knowledge. Yeah, and at the same time, actually, you're going to gain some business referrals from each other, right? So 12th of August, and 19th August is our very first introvert networking session that we're going to launch the new version. We have been doing this for many years, but 19th August is our new version, right? And we hope that you can join us too. All right, back to Ray.
Okay, so for whoever just now, whatever Melvick shared, you'll find that is interesting. You're gonna find a little bit more. So over here, how to stay connected with us? Over at WhatsApp group, we have this Introvert Network Asia, in particularly for Singapore group. So you can take this QR code, you can join us on our WhatsApp over there. And alternatively, you can also search for us on our Facebook, like us on our page, and also join us in our Introvert Network Asia group on Facebook. Okay, that's when you can have more information. And of course, lastly, if you think that there's too many bars over there, you just want to have some push email to you on all our events, and also sign up to us via our INA friends. We want to make friends with you first, because we believe that business, yes, everybody who don't like business, right? But we believe that doing business with friends is something that we truly would value more. Okay, so that's why we set up this INA friends over here. And for upcoming events, earlier on, Melvin has shared, just a recap, 12th August, find out more what IBM is all about using this ROC formula that we found. Okay, so understand what ROCs is all about on 12th August, 2 p.m. It's a 1-hour session. Okay, you can join us online. And of course, the actual introvert business mixer will be on, sorry, I didn't manage to catch the date. Just now was, Maverick mentioned is on the 19th of August. Yes, this one is introvert business mixer. And on 28th August, we have a UX sharing by one of the panelists today, Wilson. Okay, so he will do his why UX is important to small business too, which one of the question that has been posted early on by our audience just now. So 28th August, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. By Wilson. So pretty much this is yes, what we have today. As mentioned, if you got more questions, do join us on Introvert Network Asia page. Post a question over there, and we're more than glad to reply to you all. If not, thank you everybody for your precious, wonderful afternoon with us, and hope to see you all around in more of our events. Thank you, bye-bye, and have a great afternoon. Yeah, Maverick, the Facebook Live.
Okay.